Headlines get rewritten, group chats go thermonuclear, and you can almost hear the gasp from El Segundo to East L.A. The kind of story that tests how much you really believe in build for tomorrow when today is staring you down with championship eyes. Because something is moving and it's not small. It touches your rotation, your identity, your timeline. It pokes right at the tension we all feel between patience and urgency, between a rookie's promise and the cruel clock of a title window. And the part that stings? It's a fan favorite, a kid whose jumper felt like hope. You know exactly who I'm talking about, even if you don't want to say the name out loud yet. Before we drop anything, lock in with me. Imagine the front office whiteboard covered in arrows and contingencies. Remember how quickly the league punishes hesitation, and feel that playoff pressure in your chest. You want the truth? This isn't your usual midweek chatter. This is the kind of pivot that asks real questions. About fit, about timeline, about whether you trust a prospect to grow faster than an aging core slows. And beneath the noise there's a pattern. Veteran wings getting snapped up, contenders consolidating, margins shrinking. If you've watched how great programs in other sports operate, grit like Dan Campbell, ruthless detail like Ben Johnson, you know the theme: clarity over comfort. The Lakers are being forced to choose. Here's the deal for tonight. We're going to map the decision tree, walk through the rotation pressure points, examine why certain skills get overpriced in April and undervalued in November, and follow the money enough to understand leverage without pretending that cap math makes shots. We'll stress test scenarios from the quiet, sensible ones to the spicy, are they really doing this ones? We'll talk role usage, the specific actions where Los Angeles either hums or sputters, and how one move reshapes three others. You'll get the why before you get the what, because that's how you keep from overreacting to a name and missing the logic. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report. If this is your home for late-night honesty and early morning reality checks, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and drop your take below. This community runs on strong opinions and good faith debates, and tonight we need both. Let's go. Zoom all the way out first. The modern Lakers live in a narrow corridor, win-now urgency with future-proofing taped to the wall. That corridor only gets narrower when closing lineups feel one specialist short, one more body who can defend in space without coughing up spacing on the other end. You know the blueprint. Keep the paint clean for your star big. Keep your creators out of crowds and punish the tag with corner threes. It's simple on a whiteboard and brutally hard in real life because every other contender is hunting the same two-way wings. Depth charts lie until you watch a 7-game series and realize your 9th man in January is unplayable in May. That's where value turns. That's where the "we love this kid" speeches collide with "can he survive a second side closeout" versus a switching playoff defense reality. Now, zoom back into the actual nerves this hits. When a front office believes it's one defender, one grown man wing, one low mistake connector away from flipping a series, rookies become both sacred and expendable. Sacred because cost-controlled shooting and fresh legs are gold. Expendable because cost-controlled shooting and fresh legs are also the league's favorite sweetener in a trade for the thing you need today. That paradox sits in every conversation. And Dalton Knecht, because yes, we're finally saying the name, has been a live wire in it from the moment his jumper started bending scouting reports. The shot profile, the fearlessness, the speed with which he gets into his mechanics, that's why fans bought the jersey. But the counter question never goes away. How many mistakes can you afford while you're keeping pace with teams that don't forgive any? Let's get practical. Possession by possession, the Lakers ask their off-ball wings to do 3 hard things at once. Be shot ready in the slot to punish nail help, defend the weak side without falling asleep on split cuts, and crash, retreat with perfect timing so you're not giving up runouts. In the regular season, you can live with learning on the job. In the playoffs, learn later turns into sit now. When the series tightens, coaches trust the guy who won't blow the coverage. Star players trust the guy who won't drift from the plan. This isn't a judgment on talent. It's a statement about time. And time, with this core, is not neutral. Layer in the money. Rookie scale deals are friendly until they become leverage. A team that wants to move a mid-tier veteran with playoff reps usually wants two things back: a pick and a clean, affordable player who can contribute now or later. Dalton fits that mold almost too perfectly. That's why, to be blunt, other front offices bring his name up first. They watched his tape. They know the shot travels. They also know Los Angeles may not be able to promise him the on-ball reps that accelerate growth. That gap between what he needs and what the Lakers need today is where untouchable turns into "we're listening. Let's talk basketball, not just labels." The Lakers' offense at its best is kayaking into paint touches that collapse the shell and kick out to real shooters. At its worst, it's stationary eyes and late-clock grenades. Knecht changes the math when he's clean. His gravity creates long closeouts that open 0.5 reads. But the league is mean. Scouts force young snipers into decisions they haven't seen enough times. Drive the wrong gap and the low man is waiting. Pick up your dribble and the timing dies. There's a reason veterans with B- tools but A+ habits keep stealing playoff minutes. The margins are a personality test. What about defense? Opponents will bully a reputation that says shooter first. They'll hunt you in empty corner actions, make you navigate screens with playoff-level angles, and check if your stance holds after 3 straight trips. That doesn't mean Dalton can't. Plenty of pros went from food to predator with reps and strength. It means the transformation takes reps that might not be available when the Lakers are living in the land of must-win Wednesdays. Coaching is choosing which mistakes you can live with. The calendar chooses most of the rest. Okay, no more circles. Here's the headline you've been waiting for. Dalton Knecht is out of the Lakers' immediate plans. Whether you want to frame that as on the way out via active trade exploration or moved out of the rotation scope pending a bigger veteran addition, the point is the same. The organization is preparing to proceed as if Knecht won't be a core part of this build right now. That's the story. Not a rumor for clicks, an internal orientation toward veteran help that makes a clean-shooting rookie the currency, not the centerpiece. Now, how much of this is fact and how much is smoke? Here's the honest line. The directional stance is real. The final form is fluid. Talks happen. Packages get built, torn apart, rebuilt. One team asks for a pick swap, another insists on protections, a third tries to sneak their money problem into your books. Sometimes out becomes still here, different role, because the last call didn't land. But the Lakers aren't posturing about the concept. They're behaving like a team that will cash a promising rookie in if that turns a playoff weakness into a playoff strength. Who benefits, how, and why? Let's run it. If Dalton goes, the returning archetype almost certainly fits one of 2 lanes. Lane 1, a proven wing stopper who won't panic in the deep water and can hit the shots the star's gravity generates. Lane 2, a high-field connector who guards up a position, passes on time, and stabilizes the second unit so the offense doesn't crater when the engines sit. Either profile reduces the "we're a piece short" dread. Either profile also eats minutes that would have been developmental oxygen for a rookie. That's the trade, and there's no version of it that doesn't cost something the fan base loves. Fit-wise, picture late-game sets where Los Angeles leans into a spread pick and roll with a short roll outlet, who actually hurts switches. With the right veteran on the backside, your corner shooter isn't just a decoy. He's a hard decision for a tagger. That's the value the front office is chasing, actions that make defenses wrong, not actions that require perfection to be right. On defense, it's about staying out of rotation purgatory. Guard your yard, shrink the floor, contest without fouling, finish possessions. The Lakers don't need a superhero. They need less math to do. So why does this feel like ripping a bandage off? Because rookies are hope stories. They're not just players. They're narratives about patience paying off. Dalton Knecht isn't just a name. He's that first night you saw the release pop on your screen and thought, this could be a thing. Trading that feeling, moving it from your bench to someone else's arena, hurts. But great teams survive the hurt by measuring it against rings, not reels. That's the ruthless part. That's the part that other locker rooms with Dan Campbell-level edge and Ben Johnson-level precision understand instinctively. Culture is clarity. Either the kid is on the timeline or he's on the table. Let's talk counter-arguments because they deserve daylight. 1. Shooting scales. If you punt on a true shooter too early, you risk watching him become your problem in a playoff series 3 years from now. 2. Contract value. Cost-controlled production is how you survive a punitive CBA. If you keep flipping cheap players for medium money, you build a fragile cap sheet. 3. Development isn't linear. Players jump when they figure out where their feet belong on defense and where their eyes should go on offense. Pull the plug too soon, and you trade the before picture right before the after shows up. All valid. That's why this decision is hard, not heartless. The reply from the Move Now side is equally sharp. End-of-clock offense is an exposed nerve in the playoffs. A single point-per-possession swing is the difference between another first-round autopsy and a second week of May run. Veterans who defend and keep the ball moving aren't sexy, but they're the stitches that keep the team from bleeding out. You can love Dalton's ceiling and still admit that an A- adult in June might matter more than the A+ kid in 2 Junes. Where do the rotations land if this happens? Star plus star holds. Around them, the coaches would solidify a 9-man group with a smaller tolerance for hot-hand experiments. Your new wing or connector eats 24-30 minutes across both halves, stabilizing the minutes where Los Angeles traditionally coughs up leads. Your spacing looks better because there's less variance in decision-making. Your defense looks saner because the weak side help isn't late, and the low man knows when to stunt and when to commit. Does this win a title by itself? No. Does it raise the floor of every lineup you put on the court? That's the bet. And what does out mean for Dalton's next steps? If it's a trade, he lands someplace that's going to feed him touches and tolerate mistakes. That could be good for him. There's a world where he reps his way into being the guy who ruins somebody's Tuesday in the first round because he doesn't blink and he doesn't miss. There is also a world where he needs 2 years to add muscle, master footwork, and rewire NBA help principles into instinct. Either way, he's going to shoot. He's going to work. He'll be fine. The question isn't whether Dalton Knecht becomes a player. It's whether he becomes that player on this timeline, in this jersey. Now, the part you always ask me for, my take. I hate losing real shooting. I really do. It changes the geometry of the game, and Los Angeles hasn't exactly been spoiled with off-ball snipers who hold up defensively. But the grown-up answer is to match decisions to windows. If the front office can convert Knecht into a playoff-viable wing or connector without burning a pile of future assets, I get it. That's not panic. That's alignment with a core that still commands the room and still deserves a front office that acts like every season matters. If, on the other hand, the price for immediate help drifts into overpay now, regret later, then I'd pump the brakes and keep developing the kid in-house. Selling low on a rare shooter is how you end up shopping in July for the same thing you just gave away in March. Bottom line, Dalton Knecht is out of the Lakers' immediate plans, and that's the uncomfortable truth of a team trying to turn close into enough. It's not a referendum on his future. It's a statement about the present. If you're sick to your stomach, I get it. If you're nodding because you've watched enough playoff series to know the margins are merciless, I get that too. This is where belief gets tested. Belief in a window, in a style, in a plan. Drop your thoughts below. Would you flip the promise of a pure shooter for a steadier hand right now? Or would you double down on development and trust that the kid becomes the mismatch you can't find on the trade market? You're watching Lakers News Fan Report. Subscribe, hit the bell, and stay locked. We'll keep it real, we'll keep it loud, and we'll be here the minute this turns from orientation into transaction.